Hi, my name is David, and welcome listeners to Impact Coaching. Today I am with Keith Preston and Gabriel Smith. Our special guest today is Pastor Dan Preston, who is also a cross-country coach with 2 state championships and 2 runner-ups. And we will be asking him some questions about his coaching ministry.
All right, when did you start coaching?
I started coaching about 4 or 5 years ago when my boys entered into their high school years of athletics.
Where do you coach right now?
I coach at Southcrest Christian School. It's a large Christian school here in Lubbock. It's been around for several years and one of the larger private schools here in Lubbock.
That's awesome. Have you seen this impact while you've been coaching these kids?
Yeah, absolutely. The relationships that a coach can build with the athletes is incredible. Nothing replaces a father and a son or a father and a daughter relationship. Maybe nothing even compares to a youth pastor and a student in their youth ministry. But coaches would be close. The relationship and the depth of the relationship that you can build with these athletes are incredible. I remember my very first year coaching. I hadn't been doing it for a couple of weeks, and one of the seniors just pulled me aside after practice and started sharing some real deep personal struggles that he was having and asked me, what my advice is, and asked me if I would pray with him over these struggles that he was dealing with. And it was an awesome thing. It was like God opened up my eyes and made me realize that, again, my greater purpose was not just, training these young men and young ladies to be great runners, but again, to impact them with the Word of God and to be somebody that they could depend on.
Can you share a testimony maybe from someone who has benefited from your coaching approach in their spiritual journey?
Yeah, I could share just several. I think back to this last Sunday morning. I had 4 different athletes and that were in our services that God's used me to reach through coaching. And I think of Jordan Anderson, and he's a sophomore, and I've been able to coach him through junior high and now into high school. And Jordan's just a phenomenal athlete and almost a freak athlete on how he's come on even in his sophomore year and as a top runner in the entire state of Texas. And but God's allowed me to build such a strong relationship. Jordan was saved when I met him, but his mom and dad were going through a divorce, and it was just a very, very dark time in Jordan's life. And I could read you text from his parents. I could read you text from Jordan where they communicate just how invaluable my relationship with Jordan has been through this process. And now there's very seldom a service that Jordan's not in service. There's very seldom a service that his family's not in service with him, at least on a Sunday morning. And I look forward to where that's even going to grow now with a couple years still to coach him and invest in this young man.
What an awesome story there.
When would you present the gospel? After a practice, or just try and meet up with some of the runners, or how would you get an opportunity to actually present that to them?
Yeah, for sure. I'm going to start, corporately as a team. We're going to do that. I'm going to begin every practice, with telling them what the workout's going to be, with encouraging them. But the main time is going to be after practice. We all come together as a team. I'm going to talk about what went well in practice, what we need to do to improve, correct anything. But then I'm also going to take just 2 or 3 minutes, and I'm going to challenge them from the Word of God, and I'm always going to close out in prayer. And it's amazing when you pray. I've heard Brother Chappell do it almost every time I've watched a basketball game there at West Coast, how through even just praying, you can clearly present the gospel in a way that everybody can understand. And so that's what I do. And when you do that day after day after day, my goodness, it begins to set in, and then questions are asked. And then on a more personal basis, as you meet with these kids and talk to them after practice one-on-one, the opportunities come open.
Yeah, people are going to start wondering and asking questions about what you're praying about and be curious of how they can understand more.
For sure.
And that's it. Thank you for listening to the podcast, and thank you, Pastor Dan, for giving us your testimony about your ministry. This is Gabriel Smith, signing off.